Okay, before I start this video, I want to start by saying rest in peace, Gilbert Gottfried. He died yesterday, and I just want to say it was such an honor meeting him back in 2020. He was such a great comedian, and his voice acting roles were also phenomenal. So I just want to say rest in peace. Usually I would save these for like chat with Matt videos, but I'm going to make an exception since I don't do that many chat with Matt videos. But yeah, seriously, 67 years old. That is way too short of a life. But at least he's with the genie and Bob Saget, because he was friends with Bob Saget, and yeah. But anyways, without further ado, let's get to the main topic. Today I'm going to be counting down my picks for the top 10 PS5 games that you should own if you plan on getting a PS5 or already own one and you don't know what games you want to get with them. And I have a lot of great suggestions here. And I'm sure the PS5 is very scarce and very hard to find nowadays. And it's still going for huge amounts of prices on eBay and stuff like that. But I feel like one day down the line, it will absolutely be worth it and help. Okay, sure, you can play PS4 games, but there are also a lot of great regular PS5 games that you can play. And these don't necessarily have to be PS5 exclusives. Some of these are on the PS4, some of these are on other consoles, PCs. So since there isn't a huge amount of PS5 exclusives, I'm just counting down my picks for the top 10 games that you can play on PS5. And of course, like I mentioned before, this is only going to be for new PS5 games. So, except there's one game on here that I will make an exception for. And I'm not going to be including PS4 games you can play on the PS5 because that doesn't necessarily count. Even if they make the game better, I'm not counting those. But before I get into it, I have some honorable mentions, which include Demon Slayer, the Kami Chronicles, Dying Light 2, Aliens Fireteam Elite, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Guardians of the Galaxy, the game. So, without further ado, let's get into the main stuff. Coming in at number 10, I have Ghost of Tsushima, the director's cut. Sure, this is a port of a PS4 game, but what makes this game great is that it includes the new DLC, also includes the online multiplayer, the Iki Island expansion, and the graphics. Seriously, if you were slightly disappointed with the way the graphics looked on PS4, which they already looked great, then this is definitely where it's at in terms of its graphics. It's outstanding to look at, and sure, it costs like $70, but I feel like the $70 is definitely worth it. You get the full package here. You don't have to pay for the DLC. All of it comes in this one package. I think there's also a version on the PS4. I mean, I know you can play the DLC on the PS4, but there's also a bundle I think you can do. But I highly recommend this for anyone who missed out on Ghost of Tsushima. It's a great game, and I think the PS5 port makes it a hell of a lot better. At number 9, I have Deathloop. Some people might put this game a lot higher, but due to the fact that I suck at the game, it remains as a number 9 spot. But nonetheless, this is still a great experience. It basically is like, well, not really a roguelike game. It's more a little bit open. But you basically play as a guy who's trying to stop, the time loop, and you have to kill certain guys in order to stop the time loop from happening. And I feel like it is a bit rewarding, but you got to be careful because if you don't do them in a 3-day cycle, then you're going to have to start all the way from the very beginning. But nonetheless, Deathloop is still a very fun game, and I feel like people should definitely try this one out if you own a PS5. It's mostly on PS5. I don't think it's on Xbox. I know it's on PS5 and PC. But I don't know, it might be coming to more consoles. If it does come to more consoles, then I definitely suggest checking it out if you still are not sure about owning a PS5. Coming in at my number 8 spot, I have Tales of Arise. I never heard of the Tales of series. Like there's Tales of Symphonia and other games, but Tales of Arise is a really fun experience. If you're a fan of action and JRPGs, then this is definitely one to play. It's like that Xenoblade Chronicles type vibe, just on a PS5 and Xbox One X console. But still, there's a lot to love about this game. It has some really cool characters, some really cool weapons you can use, and a good amount of content here. It took me about 50 hours to beat. I did all the side quests, and they're quite fun to do. Some of them are fetch quests, but I had a really fun time with this game, and this is truly a great revival to a franchise that seemed to be dying at the time. Speaking of time loops, my next spot is for Returnal. This could have been. This is. I'm gonna be completely honest. This could have been number one if it got a save feature. I'm not sure if it has a save feature yet, but it really does need one because this is a really fun roguelike game. Okay, it's you play as a woman named Celine who's also trying to stop this time cycle. You will die over and over again, but the combat and the gameplay, the third person combat and the graphics, it is all absolutely phenomenal, and it is truly a must own for PS5 owners. But like I said before, there isn't a save feature, and this is not a game to beat in one sitting. So if it does ever get a save feature, which it might already have, I don't know because I haven't played the game in quite a while. But then, seriously, I highly recommend it. And I think there's going to be a multiplayer aspect of the game too. If so, then I really do want to try that out. Coming in at number 6, I have Resident Evil Village. I am a huge Resident Evil fan, and this game did not disappoint. While sure, it's definitely not the scariest out of all the Resident Evil games, it definitely has a bit more action to it than the last few games, specifically Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 7, but there are some things that make this a little bit better than Resident Evil 7, and not just due to the fact that the combat is like the same as in Resident Evil 4, which, if you know me, Resident Evil 4 is one of my all-time favorites. And it still has a really unique world, and Lady D is one of the best Resident Evil villains in a really long time. I really wish she was in the game longer, but the gameplay and the graphics and the look of the game, it is all phenomenal. Despite it being 10 hours long, I still feel like the game is worth revisiting once in a while if you want to get, like all the weapons and stuff like that. But hey, this is still a really solid game, and I cannot wait to see what they do next because this is Ethan Winter's final story. If you know what I'm talking about, if you've already played the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, I really enjoyed Resident Evil 8. At number 5, I have one of the launch titles for the system, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Sure, this game is very short, but I mean, if you played some of the side quests and stuff, it is a little bit longer. But hey, you didn't have to pay full price for this game unless you got the Ultimate Launch Edition, which includes Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man game remastered. But still, there is a lot that this game really does right, and not just due to the fact that it has a lot of fan service with the suits and stuff, but it's also really fun to play as Miles Morales here. It still has a pretty good story, and it's worth revisiting if you do want to platinum the game, which I did. It's one of the very first PS5 games or PlayStation games in general that I did manage to beat. But yeah, playing as Miles Morales is truly a fun time, even though it didn't last a whole lot. I still feel like this is still a really fun time, and I cannot wait to see more entries in the series. I heard we're going to get Spider-Man 2, and we're also going to get Wolverine and other stuff. If you're wondering what that flashing is, that's my laptop. Number 4, and the last two of these games are recent entries, but my first recent entry for number 4, Horizon Forbidden West, did not disappoint a single bit. Now, someone pointed me out that the graphics did have some issues, but it didn't really bother me because I still thought this was a very beautiful looking game. If you're a huge fan of the first game like myself, then I feel like you're going to get a lot out of here. While it is a little bit hard to get into the story, the gameplay and the fact you play as Aloy again truly saves the experience in this huge open world filled to the brim with content. And it's hours upon dozens of hours of side story missions and main missions you can do. It was just a blast from beginning to end. I haven't fully finished this game. One of these days, I do want to try finishing it. I do want to try finishing all the side quests and stuff like that. But if you were a fan of the first game, then I highly suggest checking this one out. It's one of my favorite games of the year, and I felt like I definitely got my time worth. At my number 3 spot, I have Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I really need to play the other Ratchet and Clank games because after playing this game, I really need to go and try playing some of the older games because I heard they were absolutely outstanding. This is an outstanding one. If you were a huge fan of the games, then I feel like this is not going to disappoint you. Great new characters, fun combat. Insomniac has been knocking it out of the park recently with PS5 games, and this is only on PS5. This isn't available on PS4, so I feel like this is definitely a killer app to play on the PS5. And it's one of the best looking games on the system. It truly makes it look like a Pixar film. from its graphical standpoint. Well, yeah, some of these games you either have to play at a lower frame rate for better graphics or a higher frame rate for not as good graphics, but hey, some of the sacrifices are definitely worth it. Okay, I feel like I definitely had my money's worth here, and one of these days, I really hope they do make another game, because I would like to see more Rivet and Ratchet, and as they're not really on camera that much, or in terms of gameplay wise, but I really hope we do get like a, I don't know, a multiplayer where you can play both as Ratchet and Rivet. But hey, Insomniac still has a lot on their plates, so yeah, if they do manage to do that, then I definitely do want to buy it. All right, top two. What's it going to be? At my number two spot, I have the Demon Souls remake. I thought for sure this would be number one, but there was another game that came out. You probably already know what it is. But for right now, Demon Souls. If you love the original game, then I feel like you're absolutely going to have a blast with this. Sure, it's basically just the same game, just with better graphics and better load times. But for those who haven't played the original game, like myself, I feel like I've just played a brand new game. The experience and the lore and the difficulty, it is all still there, just like the Souls games. Blue Point Game knocked it out of the park with this one. I feel like they are definitely the ones to trust when it comes to remaking very popular games like Shadow of the Colossus. And even though From Software wasn't a part of this, I feel like this truly honors the original game. If you never got to play the PS3 version, then the PS5 version is definitely where it's at. Well, sure, it's not quite as long as Dark Souls or Bloodborne or my top pick. Then but you know what? That's okay, because I still felt like I was really getting my time's worth. But yeah, Demon Souls is truly a must play, and sure, it's very difficult, just like another game that I'm about to talk about. But I still feel like the gameplay is just as rewarding as the Dark Souls games. All right, my number one spot, you already know what it is. It's Elden Ring. Of course, if it wasn't going to be Demon Souls, what else was it going to be? Elden Ring, I've talked about this game so much. This is a game that I simply will not shut up about. Even after beating the game, I still want to go back and beat the optional bosses that I never got to beat. But still, out of all the ports of this game, or the ways you can play the game, you know, Xbox and PC, this is definitely by far the best way to experience it. And with all the patches and new updates to the game, then I feel like the game has just been getting better all the time, even after launch. Well, the game was acclaimed at launch. I felt like it was definitely getting a lot better, because players definitely had some problems playing the game on both PS5 and PC. But hey, Bandai Namco has fixed these issues, and it's definitely worth playing now. While sure, it's insanely difficult, one of the hardest games that I played in recent memory, probably even harder than Dark Souls and Bloodborne combined, even Demon Souls. I still feel like there was a lot of time spent into this game that I felt was absolutely rewarding. It's filled to the brim with content. It never feels empty. The experience, if you haven't played a Souls game or a Souls-like game, then this is definitely the one that I feel like you should start off with. It's a masterpiece on every single level, and it's going to be really hard for another game to top it. And yeah, it's easily my pick for the best game to play on PS5. Alright guys, that is all for this video. Let me know if you're still planning on getting a PS5, or hey, if you do have a PS5, have you played any of these games? What are your favorite PS5 games? Let me know. I might remake this list. In fact, I might in the next few years or so, if there does end up being some more great games for the system, and I'm sure there will be, because we still got God of War Ragnarok and stuff like that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Word out.